our goal is to, put the word out that in our humanity, how do we begin to touch people's humanity and say, you know what, let's not only second chances, because a lot of the men and women who are in prison never got a first chance. The educational system never gave them that first chance to begin with. So, for them, it's giving them a chance. For those men and women who have committed crimes that do want to change their life, that do want to begin those process to change their family life, because this isn't just the men and women in prison getting education. It's a trickle-down effect. So their kids starts to see that they can do it. Their grandkids, their neighbors, whoever it is that they touch, that their prison isn't the only option, that education is. So I want that to be clear. So I understand that it's a sensitive issue for some people, and it's going to, obviously it's going to hit some personal notes.
I was already in college prior to incarceration. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I went to prison and did 5 years and 8 months for defending myself against my abuser who abused me and my 2 children. And unfortunate, there's no self-defense law in New York State, so, the one that survives for defending themselves have to go down. And the program had helped me to accumulate more credits to go towards my credits that I already had prior from Nassau Community College. So I earned a total of 65 credits so far, looking to get my bachelor's as a registered nurse, and then look to be a nurse anesthetist in the future. But Hudson Link program helped me and gave me the road to, it made me feel that there was opportunity, and then there's people that work together, and with everyone sticking together, it's a network. So networking, you can't get nowhere without networking, and that's the way our society is built, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. That way I can help someone else along the way that may be in my shoes, because there's a lot of women and men that are abused through domestic violence on a daily basis, and many don't speak out about it, many don't defend themselves. I lost several friends who weren't the type to fight back, and they can't live today to tell their story. But I'm here, and I'm still fighting, and I'm looking forward to the future.
It is what it is. I know I look like I'm 22 years old, right? I can't help that. I just had good genes. However, in 1989, I was involved at 16 years old in a drug deal that went bad. It ended up being into a fight. From the fight, I pulled out a gun and I shot someone and I took their life. I ended up doing 22 years in prison, and I've been home 2 years and 2 months now. For me, education, I was in that limbo of 1995. Education for me was basically when I was on Rikers Island, which is the main holding facility, and right across the bridge in Queens. It was just something to do. I said, what the hell, I'm here already. Might as well take my GED. So I took my GED, passed it the first time. And when I got sentenced 2 years later, the judge in my case told me, he says, well, I expect you to continue your education when you get, when you go to the facility, you're going to upstate. At the time, sitting in a courtroom, hearing a judge tell you that, in my mind, and excuse my French, was, the fuck are you talking about? You just gave me 20 years. What the hell are you talking about school? I didn't know about the educational opportunities. I get upstate. In orientation, they tell me we have a college program from the Sage Junior College of Albany. So within 2 weeks, I was taking college courses, and from then on out, I've just been through education throughout. So basically, I went in without any high school. So I went from a GED, and now I have a master's degree from 2006 from New York Theological Seminary. So that's my educational journey. It wasn't easy. Like the guy said, you're living in a 100% crime neighborhood. So it's, you have to try to balance both things. Statistics tell you that probably, I think it was 65% of violent crimes are crimes that happen like that. It's not something you think about. It's not something you plan. It's just a spur of the moment, and in seconds, you took someone's life or you injured someone, or something like that. If you ask John would still take responsibility for what he did, even though it was a situation where you can say, wow, I can understand that his girlfriend was just raped, but then at the end of the day, he'll come back and tell you, I didn't have to get the gun. So you see, he will eventually say, okay, yes, I did what I did, but now I can see that me getting the gun was the beginning process that just went downhill. In the beginning, it was just something to do. And then, as maybe seniors are here, we got any seniors here? I mean, when you look back at the papers that you wrote when you were a freshman, right? And of how you absorbed the material, it's a whole lot different than where you at now. So it does change. Education just changes you. It just changes your whole, not only the psychology, but you emotionally as well. You become more compassionate. You start to understand different things in the world. So yes, and then you saw this, the superintendent that was there. He's now the former commissioner, because he ended up being the commissioner of the whole Department of Corrections and retired last year. But what he said was, it makes my jail safer, because we are the men and women who are creating those programs in there. So when you see domestic violence program in prison, you can best assure that it was a man or woman in prison, or a group of men and women who created the whole program description. Okay? Alternative to violences, all those programs within the prisons is inmates who do it. So when he sees that, that's why he was such a proponent, because it not only changes lives, but it also makes it more livable for the officers in there, and as well for the men and women. We offer different courses. Sing Sing offers a bachelor's in behavioral science. Nyack and Fishkill and Sullivan is a associates in business. Okay? And the women are just taking courses from Nyack in business. They don't have a degree granting program. The women, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. We're in 5 facilities now. So we're in 4 male facilities and a women's facility. The women's facility, because the length of time is a little bit shorter, they can only get a certain number of classes before they're released, so, which is a good thing. So we're trying to just figure out how do we accommodate them on their way, out. But those are the courses that they give. Now, 90% of those men and women that you saw on this film are home. And what happens is when they come home, the jobs that they go to is social service jobs. So they'll go to reentry programs, they'll go to homeless shelter programs, they'll go to a lot of, because of that, finding that humanity. So it's not only a career choice, it's also their way of giving back. That's a great, valid point. I mean, we get that all the time, not only from society, but also from the prison guards who feel they have to work overtime and pay for their college education, but they think that we're getting a free education. Sean pointed out in the film that we don't get a penny from the state. Everything is privately funded. However, what no one can deny is the social impact that it has. Even themselves, they can't deny it. So even if you don't agree with him or her receiving education, you can at least say, well, you know what, it's motivating their son, their nephews. So the social impact that's behind it, you could kind of say, okay, I'm for that. I mean, if we look for that, then, sooner or later, somebody has to break that cycle of the grandfather, father, then the son going to prison. Don't say can't. Never say can't. I don't believe in that. I did 22 years in prison, okay? I'm free with, like I said, I answer any single question. I have no issues with it. When I meet someone, I went to a dinner this past Friday, just an example, for Barclays Capital. They had a big, dinner, and they had all these billionaires and millionaires in there, okay? I walk in there, I'm me. I spoke my story. I'm talking, hey, wait, this is where I was. This is where I was at. Okay, I've denied, since I've been home in 2.5 years, I refused 4 jobs that they've called me to recruit me. So there's no can't. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I'm talking about like in general sense.
There's no can't. I don't want to hear it. There's no can't. It's how do you present yourself and taking that first step and keep on moving and keep on moving. They tell you no, you get 1,000. I mean, I read one time in one of Warren Buffett's book, he goes, 1,000 no's, there's only 1,000 experiences for that one yes. What we do is we don't really work hand in hand with them, but what we do is we refer the guys to them. So if a guy wants to take the green program, John Valverde, coincidentally, the case with the girlfriend, he is the assistant executive director now at Osborne Association. So he's in it's there you go, that can't, right? You can't make it up there. So, automatically, you already know that's a direct link with us because he was one of the founders of Hudson Link. So what we do is, depending on what our alumni needs are when they come home, then that's where we direct them to. So Exodus might give them, violence program. Osborne will give them computer training or the green economy program they have there. So yes, we do work with them. Okay, the qualifications, very simple. Be breathing. That's the first thing. It used to be, when the program started, we used to have, you needed 88 credits because we began as a finishing program because of that void when they took the Pell and TAP grants from us. But what happened is you're in a controlled environment. How many guys have 88 credits? Once you go through 200, 300, men and women, so we had to bring it down to 60. And then from 60 it went to 40, 30. And little by little, now we actually operate a pre-college program. So before you actually come into our program, when you get your GED, you have to go through a 1-year pre-college program that we have. So you get all the tutoring that you need. Our graduates do one-on-one tutoring to get those men and women into that college writing mode and math and testing and everything like that. Once you get to that level, it's a waiting list. So you can be on the waiting list for 1.5 years, 2 years. So that shows a dedication. If you're willing to wait that long and go through all of that study, shows your dedication. So when we get a chance to show it to our supporters, their wallets open up, let's say, right? Because they want to invest in you. They don't want to invest in somebody who's going to sit in there and not do the work. So, but it's a very lengthy process. You have to be approved by the Department of Corrections. You can be denied at any second throughout the lengthy process. If you got what they call a ticket, which is called an infraction, right? If you have drugs, which he said, everything is in there. So if you get caught with weapons, if you have a violent interaction with a correction officer, they could just deny you for a bunch of stuff, So it takes a lot. It takes a lot. You have to turn the cheek a lot in order to, meet your goals. And there is 1,000 times more because you have your ego, you have your pride. You go in there and it's a dog-eat-dog world in there. You don't want to be seen like a sucker or a punk. So it takes a lot. So when the guys do get there, you can say, wow. You're already seeing the graduation, but you're not seeing the struggles that they've went through in there. It's not your traditional schooling, so sometimes you're going to take one class every 2 or 3 months. Sometimes you take only 2 classes. So a 4-year degree can easily take you 6 years to do. But after that, so some people just say, I'm going to take a year off. I'm not doing nothing, man. I'm just going to go to the yard. I'm just going to watch Maury Povich, whatever it is they want to do. Okay? But most men and women who are already in college are already involved with other programs. So a lot of them are facilitating groups that I just finished naming, like domestic violence, alternative to violence programs. Many are running organizations. So you might have a Hispanic organization, you have the Caribbean organization, you have an Italian, the Asian organizations. So a lot of them will be running those type of organizations. And a lot of them with our program also do that one-on-one tutoring with that college prep program. So there's always an involvement. I would say 95 stay involved, 95% will stay involved. 5% will probably just say, I need a little break. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Our 5th prison that we just absorbed the Siena College program, and just starting next week, I think it is at Green Correctional Facility. So you're definitely going to stay back and we're going to talk. Okay? All right? So, I don't want to see no more tears. I want those happy tears. Let them be happy now. Okay? So let's, please sit back, stay back and me and you will talk one-on-one. That's amazing right there, right? I mean, what is the odds of that, right? And, so I always say God works in mysterious ways like that. So, let's see if we can help them out, right? That's what we're about, changing.
Thank you.
Coincidentally, I want to say something, though. Coincidentally, I say this is weird because I received a phone call when I was back there, and I stepped outside to take it, right? And normally I don't take phone calls when I'm showing the viewing, but something within me told me to take the phone call. So I told my friend, I said, I can't talk right now. I'm at St. Francis College. So they was like, where, in Brooklyn? I said, yeah. I said, oh, I did a year there. So it was a coincidence of that too. So I'm just saying, that this shows us her story, and that situation shows me that we were supposed to be here today. So thank you.